Welcome to my henna and indigo hair dyeing journey, an adventure I never imagined would unfold with such good results. This was my very first time using these ancient powders, and to my amazement they worked wonders. My goal? A deep reddish brown shade, my natural colour being medium brown with golden tones. In this video you'll witness every step from start to finish as I mix, apply and reveal the final colour. Hey everyone, welcome to this video. I'm really excited to share with you my journey dyeing my hair with henna and indigo powders. Henna and indigo powders are natural, vegan friendly and cruelty free, and they are derived from plants. And they colour your hair naturally if you would want to achieve red tones, brown tones and black tones. So today is about the third day after I have dyed my hair with these powders, and I hope you can see the reddish tint in the light. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and they're meant to last about 4 to 6 weeks as a semi-permanent colour. So if you're looking to dye your own hair with henna and indigo, I think it's a great alternative to store-bought colorants where it can really dry your hair out, and not to mention all the chemicals that are used in these dyes, such as ammonium peroxide, which can really irritate the skin and in some cases even cause severe reactions. So store-bought colorants can really damage your hair, as I've experienced. They can really make your hair brittle and more prone to breakage. But henna and indigo, the added benefit of these two powders is they actually strengthen the hair and nourish it. Not only do you get to dye your hair red, brown and black shades, but you also get to make your hair even healthier by using these powders. The red tone, or the auburn colour that I achieved here, if it shows it a bit better in the sun, but I'm loving this colour, and it's really pretty much exactly the way I wanted it to turn out. It doesn't take too long to activate, especially the henna. When you mix it with a liquid, it takes about 3 to 4 hours to activate. The indigo is even faster. It takes about half an hour to an hour to activate. And when you are doing a one-step process, you just mix these together and then you just apply it to your hair and let it sit for a few hours. Then you rinse it out in the shower, and not using any shampoos or conditioners, you let the colour settle for a few days. A few things that I've learnt by using these powders is they can have a strong plant smell. They really do smell strongly like leaves, and it can be a little tricky to mix the powders, especially if you have about 200 grams or 250 grams that you're mixing. You've got to be careful that it doesn't clump up, which is what happened to me. So I've learned to definitely sift the powders before you add the liquids. And when you add the liquids, make sure you do it only a little bit at a time, so you add it slowly. Now, both henna and indigo do stain your skin. So you want to just be aware of that, wear gloves, and also you want to put some coconut oil around your hairline just to make sure that the henna doesn't stain your hairline too much. And another thing that I've learned is make sure that when you apply it, that you really get into the hairline first, because it's easy to miss some spots and then you'll see it later on. So they're my tips that I'm sharing with you if you're going to try it for yourself. Now, have any of you guys tried henna and indigo, or have you used it for a long time? Well, share your experiences below. I'd love for you to share any tips that you may have with others, so we can all learn a bit more about this process. It's something I definitely will do in the future. I will use these powders in the future, as it's meant to keep conditioning your hair and keeping it healthy. So that's the added benefit. That's what I love about it. That it keeps your hair healthy and moisturizes it. Welcome to Spirit Being Life. On this channel I love sharing wholesome plant-based recipes, tips and info to support your journey towards a healthier lifestyle. My hope is to inspire you to be your best, feel your best and live well every day. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more uplifting and informative content. Henna comes from the Lawsonia inermis plant, commonly known as the henna tree or the Henna shrub. It is made by harvesting, drying and finely grinding the leaves of this plant to preserve its natural dyeing properties. Henna has been practiced for over 5,000 years across India, Pakistan, the Middle East and Africa. It's used in ceremonies, body art and hair dyeing, symbolizing beauty, protection and celebration. Indigo powder comes from the leaves of the indigo plant, most commonly Indigo tinctoria, a shrub native to tropical regions like India, Africa and Southeast Asia. It is made by fermenting the leaves of the Indigo plants to extract dye compounds, which are then oxidized and dried into a blue powder. India is considered the birthplace of indigo dyeing, with deep historical and spiritual significance. It's used for textiles, ceremonial body art and natural hair colouring. So to achieve the right shade, all depends on the colour of your hair and also the amount or the ratio of henna to indigo that you use. I decided to go 90-10 and I found this to be a good combination, as I didn't want to go too dark or too brown, and I did want to keep a lot of the red tones in the hair. Henna and indigo can't lighten hair, so they won't produce blonde tones. They can be used to achieve red, brown and black tones depending on how they're mixed and applied. Now there are different ways that you can apply the henna and the indigo. I'm using a one-step process. This means that both powders are mixed together at the same time. This method offers convenience and a variety of blended tones, but is best suited for those with little to no grey hair. If you are trying to cover more than 10% grey hair, then a two-step process is recommended. This means that you apply 100% henna first, rinse it out and then apply indigo separately after the henna has set. This method allows the indigo to bind optimally, giving stronger and longer lasting coverage. Now you can also add different ingredients as you are mixing your henna to achieve different results, such as if you want to add coffee in there, it can darken the henna. I used green tea. It adds a little bit of acidity which can help to keep your hair moisturized and also help with releasing the dye within the henna. There are many other add-in options to enhance dye release and color tones, as well as conditioning the hair and scalp health. So to enhance red and burgundy tones, you could include beetroot juice or paprika, and to enhance darker tones you could use coffee and black tea. Do your research to check your options, as some additives can be harsh and can dry out your hair or cause irritation. This can be the case with lemon juice and vinegar. Another thing I wanted to mention is that when you combine henna and indigo together, the colour lasts longer. So that is why I wanted to include a little bit of indigo in there. You will need henna and indigo powders, distilled water and your optional add-ins. Distilled water is best because of its purity and its neutral pH. It avoids mineral interference that can cause uneven colour or reduce the dye's effectiveness. It gives you better and more consistent results. You're also going to need gloves, an old top or a salon cape, as well as a shower cap or a plastic wrap to contain your hair whilst it's dyeing. An applicator brush is handy for the roots and the hairline, and hair clips can also be handy. A drop sheet or even using newspaper will avoid possible staining and messing up your bathroom. It's best to do a patch test to check for allergies. You mix up a small amount of each powder and then paint a little bit onto your skin. I applied mine to the inner arm and I wrapped plastic around it and let it sit for 2 hours. With my hair strand test, first I activated both of the powders at the 90-10 ratio that I chose, and then I mixed them together. I trimmed a bit of my hair at the ends, although you could just use hair from your hairbrush. And then I painted it with the mix and let it sit for 2 hours. I was happy with the result, but if you're not happy with yours, you could try different ratios until you find the ideal one. Now it's time to activate the henna. Different lengths require different amounts. So I have waist length hair, so I use 250 grams of powder. To be honest, this ended up being way too much for what I needed, and I ended up only using half of it. So really, I think it depends on how thick your hair is and the length as well in deciding how much you need. For my optional add-ins, I'm using green tea. Green tea is said to enhance dye release, and it adds gentle acidity without drying out your hair. And it also adds shine and nourishes the hair. As I have learned, it's always a good idea to sift your henna before adding any liquids. The liquid should be warm but never boiling. You want to be adding the water a little bit at a time, mixing in between these small additions. You can use a spoon, but just make sure that it isn't made of copper, iron, aluminium or brass, as this can react with the dye molecule. You can use stainless steel as it's non-reactive. Keep adding the water in small amounts until you reach a yogurt-like consistency. When I mix the powder, I had obvious lumps in mine, and apparently this is normal when you first begin mixing. It will pay to let it sit to soak up the water for a little while, as this alone will help to break up any clumps. You can now cover it with plastic and let it sit for this dye release stage. Because I bought my powder in bulk amounts, I had to work out the total amount of powder that I needed to cover my entire length, and then from there work out the ratio of henna and indigo with the 90-10 ratio, which was to give me an auburn reddish brown shade. To work out how much of the two powders you will need in total, you will first need to work out the length and the thickness of your hair, and this will give you the total amount of powder that you need. Then from there you can choose your desired colour and its corresponding ratio. Finally, you can work out how much you need for both powders according to the ratio using grams. For example, take a look at this chart. Let's say you have medium hair length. The total powder needed is 100 grams. If you would like your colour to be medium brown, then you would have to divide your total amount of powder to the ratio chosen, which is 50-50. So you would need 50 grams of henna to 50 grams of indigo. If you are uncertain about what your final result will look like, doing a strand test will help you to identify the colour that will be achieved when you mix your ratios together. Now it's time to mix your indigo powder. I made sure to sift the powder this time and then added a small amount of distilled water a little bit at a time until I reached the desired consistency. And then I let it sit for 30 minutes. Here I am mixing the henna and the indigo together in the final step. Once both pastes are ready, they should be mixed together and applied immediately to preserve indigo's potency. Delaying this can lead to weaker colour uptake. Before I start, I'm going to mention that I've put some coconut oil just all around the perimeter of my face and underneath here where the hairline is, all around. So I'm trying to protect my skin from being stained with the henna. Now I'm applying the paste to my hair. I use the applicator brush to cover the roots, and then using my glove I applied a bulk amount of paste to cover the entire length for speed. It might be a good idea to place the henna inside a squeeze bottle for efficiency and for less mess. I start at the top of my head and I'm aiming to do section by section and combine all of these sections to just one bun at the top of my head, and I use my clips to help along the way. I didn't have a mirror because I recorded in my camera room, but I would suggest to use the bathroom mirror if you're doing this process by yourself, or even better, have it applied by another person. I ended up calling upon my daughter to check that I didn't miss any spots, and then she helped me apply a bit more to the areas that I'd missed. Just remember to apply the paste especially well and evenly around the hairline, because if you miss a spot, you will see this later on. After you have completely covered your hair with the paste, it's time to cover it and let the dyeing process happen. You should leave it in for about 1 to 2 hours. The longer you leave the paste on, the darker and more saturated that the colour becomes. You can also use a shower cap, but I didn't actually have one, so I just thought I would use this plastic wrap instead. It does a trick. This is what my hair looked like after I had rinsed out the paste without shampoo or conditioner. You can see that the colour has only slightly taken, and it will develop stronger tones over the course of the next few days. Here is my before and after comparisons. You should be able to see the red hues in the sun. This is a few days after application. Anyway guys, so I'm really happy with the results, and I'll definitely do it again and try different shades, different tones. I think next time I might just want to try henna on its own and see how it turns out. Guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video and that I inspired you to try it for yourself, and hopefully you got a few tips and tricks if you want to apply it to your own hair, what to look out for. Okay, for now I'm going to say bye. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.